It's your boy Jamar back with another video. Back with another banger. And today we're reviewing Sistas Season 10, Episode 2, entitled Guilty. Now, this week's episode, it was okay. It wasn't a bad episode. It was a little bit tiny bit fillerish, but we are just in episode 2 of the season and we're just getting started. I do wish things will go a bit faster. I don't like how we're still in the same day, and it's looking like next week we're going to be in the same day as well. We kind of need to pick up the pace a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but we're only in episode 2, so I'm not about to complain. But yeah, but let's just get right into the episode. And this is what I mean by the dragging things a little bit. So we get into the episode, and it starts off how it ended last week with the news of Sabrina possibly not making it. So we open the episode up, and basically the doctors come in and say Sabrina is in a coma and is really, really bad, and she may or may not wake up. And if she does, she's going to need a whole bunch of rehabilitation. And basically, she's just not going to be the same. Rich gets there. He's freaking out. He's like, what's going on? And this and that and the third. Apparently, Danny was the next of kin as well, which is interesting. And basically, Rich was just trying to start stuff with Danny and Zach and Andy and everybody else wasn't having. They're like, this ain't the time. Because, this ain't the time. That's a Rich or Tony. Tony was trying to start stuff with Danny. And the crew was just like, it ain't the time. We worry about Sabrina right now. So the doctor basically just told everybody to go home because Serena's in a coma and nobody can visit her. And, we'll basically revisit this in the morning. So before everybody leaves and before Andy leaves, Dr. Vaughn tries to have a conversation with her, but Danny's just like, no. And I'm just like, Danny, you ran into this man's arms after what happened. The least y'all can do is kind of have a conversation. Like, girl, whatever, though. I get it, you've been through a lot, Andy, but you kind of ran into the man's arms. So basically, everybody goes home. Rich stays after to see Sabrina in the ICU. Like, he sees her through the window and sees how bad and messed up she really is. And, he basically starts, like, breaking down and crying. So then, basically, back at the crib, Andy's mom sees Cheyenne going through Andy's stuff. And she basically tells her stop because, Andy's going to realize that you're going through her stuff and you need to stop. So basically, Andy gets home. Let's just go with Andy. Well, I'm going to go through Andy's stuff last. So let's go through. So Tony takes Danny home, and he basically just drops her off. He don't really have a conversation with her. He keeps it short because he's basically just like, girl, it's over. Zach and Fatima go home. Fatima basically saying she's exhausted from everything and this and that there. Maurice and Dylan are at the crib. Dylan's offering to give Maurice a bath and this and that there. Maurice calls Pam to inform her everything that's going on. Basically tells Pam that he will need to be at the bank, to fill in for Sabrina while this is going on. So then Andy comes home, and then she, tells him all what happens. Cheyenne overhears, and Andy's basically just like, oh, I feel like you're jealous of Karen because Karen has her happy ending. She has her man, she has her kid, and you still don't have neither of that. And Andy's just like, really, mom? And I'm just like, girl, yeah, because Andy's mom's really pissing me off. Because it's like, girl, it ain't the time for all that. What are you talking about? This ain't the time for all that. So then Tony and Rich have a little conversation, and they're basically just talking about everything. And Rich is basically trying to convince Tony to make things up with Danny before things are too late, because he wished he had that opportunity with Sabrina. So then Andy comes home crying and realizes that her wine is missing. And like I said, Cheyenne drank her wine. So Cheyenne, to make up for drinking her wine, tries to cook Andy dinner. And Andy's just not having it. She's over Cheyenne. She's being mean to Cheyenne. And Andy's mom just basically like, why are you being mean to your sister? You're being nice to your college sisters more than the actual sister, your actual blood sister. You went to college and basically forgot that you had a sister. And this and that and the third. And basically, Andy's mom was just like, tomorrow I start my chemotherapy and I'm going to need Cheyenne to stay here. And Andy's like, she can't stay here. And, that's when they have a little conflict. So then Andy cries and she ends up calling Karen and telling Karen about everything that's happened with Sabrina. Obviously, we can't hear what's going on the other end. But yeah, that's what happened. So then Cheyenne ends up going out. So Cheyenne goes out. and she meets this random guy, this random rich guy, I guess. I don't know, just some random guy she met at a club. She ends up, he buys her a drink. She ends up, going to a party, kissing on a woman, doing drugs, and the episode basically cuts off. So, like I said, it was kind of a fillerish episode. Cheyenne is a mess. Cheyenne is a hot mess. But I think I'm gonna like Cheyenne. I know y'all like what? I'm gonna like Cheyenne. We need a little trouble in the sister group. I'm gonna like Cheyenne. She kind of brings a different type of energy to the sister group. So that was the end of this week's episode, and I'll see you guys next week for episode 3.